Hi students, in this video I'm going to finish talking about the American Revolutionary War. I left off at the end of the last video was talking about how the British have succeeded in capturing New York City. It's a good victory on paper, but it doesn't achieve very much in practice. And the fact that they settle in New York and aren't really very proactive about continuing the campaign gives George Washington time to rebuild the army. In the following year, the British turned to a new tactic, trying to push further north with the army that's in New York and bring another army down from Canada to meet in the middle and crush the colonies. And the army that's in New York in the end goes south and captures Philadelphia. Same problem as capturing New York. You captured a major city, but and it looks good, but it's not actually strategically very effective. And it doesn't really change the balance of the war a whole lot. As I say, it makes the British look good. It's a little demoralizing for the Americans, or the Patriots, as we should probably call them, but their army is still intact. Meanwhile, the army that's advancing down from Canada is defeated by the Patriots at the Battle of Saratoga. It's the first major victory that the Patriots have achieved over the English. And it's important not just because the victory halts this invasion of New England from Canada, but because it brings the French into the war on the side of the Patriots. And this is an absolutely vital alliance for the American Patriots. This alliance is going to be crucial to them winning the war. The French had wanted an opportunity to get back at the British after the French and Indian War, have been unable to do so, but after the Patriots win this battle at Saratoga, it seems to suggest to the French that here they have an ally who's in this for the long haul, who can actually be successful. And so the French join the war on the side of the American Patriots. That winter is famous as the winter when George Washington's army spent the winter in Valley Forge, in a very rural part of the colonies, and it was a time when the army was once again trained and further trained to be an efficient fighting force. What's interesting, what I wanted to point out in this video, was that a lot of this training is carried out by a German, a Baron von Steuben, who comes to join the Patriots, and then there's another European from France this time, the Marquis de Lafayette, who also proves himself as an effective field commander, as an effective diplomat. And both of these men from modern-day Germany and from France are inspired to come and join the Revolutionary War by the Enlightenment ideals that they see embodied by the Americans. And this is what's motivating them to join the war. The following year, we see the British develop a new strategy. This strategy is called the Southern Strategy. They failed to invade and divide New England, and so now they turn to the southern colonies. Southern colonies that are typically the ones that are more loyal to Britain, and they hope that by invading here, they can build up a strong loyalist army, bring those southern colonies back to loyalty with the British, and then they can move on to New England, or they can at least cut them off from the rest of New England. And this is initially successful. But what turns the majority of American colonists to the side of the Patriots rather than to the Loyalists is that the British start offering land and opportunities to Indian populations. They start offering freedom to African slaves who are on southern plantations. And remember that I said that this war is all about the kind of middle 40%. The 40% that are pretty committed to independence, the Patriots, there are about 20% that are pretty committed to the Loyalists, and then the rest are kind of in this middle ground. And this is just the truth of the matter, that when the British start promoting freedom for the slaves, they start encouraging the Indians to settle and have better trading rights in the southern colonies, this turns a lot of that 40% against the British. And they go over to the Patriot side. And so the Patriots start to be successful. They're especially successful at the Battle of Kings Mountain. And after this battle, they're basically able to eliminate the areas that the British have got under their control. And so the Patriots restore control of the South. But this is a good example of how the American Revolutionary War was, as I said in the last video, in many ways a civil war. That's something historians are more and more recognizing now. And that this war was being fought over who could win the hearts and minds of that middle 40%. Kings Mountain is a good example of this. It's a battle in which you had allegedly about 70 brothers fighting on opposite sides. 70 pairs of brothers who fought on opposite sides. Shows how this war really divided settlers and colonists in North America. So with the failure of the Southern strategy, the British now turn to their last strategy, the Virginia strategy. Virginia is the largest, the wealthiest colony, but again has a history of loyalty to Britain. And so they attempt to invade Virginia, to gain control of this colony, to divide the New England colonies from the Southern colonies. And this strategy is defeated at the Battle of Yorktown. It's defeated by the French Navy and Washington's army, collaborating together very effectively for a time when communication was quite slow and quite limited, to trap the British army and to force them to surrender. And at this point, the British have lost the will to continue the war. The war is concluded by the Treaty of Paris. The picture that I give you for the Treaty of Paris on the PowerPoint, I think it's kind of funny. It was the picture that was supposed to be painted after the treaty had been signed, the treaty that would bring an end to the war. And so you have the picture of the American delegation there, but the British were so infuriated that they had lost this war by the whole proceedings that they refused to sit for the picture. So the right half of the picture is blank. Other than that, negotiations, it seems, were relatively cordial. The British agree to the Mississippi as the boundary of this new North American nation. That's a significant expansion of territory, or it offers the opportunity for a significant expansion of territory. Once again, it's going to be Native American groups that lose out the most as a result of this provision of the treaty. What the Treaty of Paris doesn't clarify as well is the northern and southern borders of the United States. So there's still going to be debate into the future about where Canada ends, where Spanish Florida ends, and those will be debates that we'll look at in future weeks. And so this brings to an end the American Revolutionary War, an amazing story, a story of how a colony broke away from the mother country. This was something that was pretty unprecedented at the time. Also marks the beginning of a seismic shift in the history of Western civilization, away from monarchies towards representative governments. That's also something that we'll talk about more next week when we talk about the Constitution. I'll see you then.